Hey guys, my name's Skippy from Geek Hammer Gaming, and I'm back with another faction focus review. We're here today talking about the Sisters of Battle, the Adepta Sororitas, the nuns with guns, the faction of girls who have been orphaned by war and picked up by the church to fight in the God Emperor's name. They use acts of faith to strengthen their resolve and to fight in his honor. I love this faction. I'm so glad they got a redo a couple years ago, and I love the way the new models look. I can't wait to see how they play on the tabletop. So speaking of which, let's look at some rules. So let's look at the Acts of Faith. So Acts of Faith are a dice pool that you get. So you get to roll a dice, and whatever the number is, you get to keep in your dice pool separate from everything else. You get a dice at the start of every turn, and you get one every time one of your units dies. Now, whatever you roll, you have to keep that number in that pool. So if you roll 4, that is a 4. So what you get to do is before you roll a dice for a list of things, which I'll go over in a sec, you basically get to, before you roll it, put the dice in from the dice pool, spend it, and put it into the dice roll, and it's guaranteed that number. So you need that guaranteed 7-inch charge, and you got a 6. Replace one of your dice with a 6. There you go. You got a 7. Look at that. How crazy that is. So let's talk about the dice that you can replace. So you can replace an advance roll, a battle shock test, a charge roll, a damage roll, a hit roll, a saving roll, and a wound roll. So you can do one of these per turn per unit. Seems really good. I like this ability. It helps mitigate the randomness of the game by letting you kind of plan out your turn. You got a 4 laying around. Well, guess what? That D6 damage weapon that needs to do 4 damage to that guy. Well, let's make that just automatically a 4. Look, they're dead. How crazy is that? So this rule has been good in all its variations. A little too good sometimes, but this seems like a good balanced version. I think it's going to really help the army out and let you mitigate a lot of the randomness in the game for things you absolutely need when they come up. So let's look at some detachment rules. The detachment is the Hallowed Martyrs. So the rule is blood of martyrs. Hey, do you sense a theme here, guys? Sacrifice, blood of martyrs. Your ladies are gonna be dying. Each time Adepta Sororitas model from your army makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if that model's unit is below starting strength. And add 1 to the wound roll as well if that model's unit is below half strength. For the purpose of ability, starting strength, a unit with starting strength of 1 is considered below starting strength if it has lost 1 or more wounds. So the idea is they get more fervent as they lose models. So as the girls are dying, they get to hit harder because they're going nuts for these girls who died. And it's a really cool ability on top of that, because as you're losing models, your girls that are left over are becoming more efficient. And if the numbers work out right, you'll actually be hitting just about as hard as if you had a full unit, because the girls that are left will be doing better than they did when they were at full starting strength. And +1 to wound is really strong on bolters, like against other infantry. That's a big deal. So I like this rule. I think it's going to help them a lot. I like that this is the one they get to start with, and I can't wait to see people take advantage of this by sacrificing their girls to get abilities on their girls. So I think it's a great rule. I cannot wait to see it. So let's talk about some data sheets. Now we're going to look at a big data sheet, which is something that I'm a big fan of, that they're showing off one big data sheet from every army when they're showing off the army. So this is the Triumph of St. Catherine. This is a big diorama model with like 9 different ladies on it. It's crazy. It's a big like hero character for the army. 6-inch move, toughness 3, 3-up save. I'll skip that. 6-up leadership and 6 objective controlled. So the basic stat line of a sister, but there's 9 of them on there, so it's 18 wounds. It's 18 wounds, and it's infantry, by the way. That's a big chunk in infantry. It's just a whole parade of girls wandering around giving out buffs. So, core abilities. They are a leader. They have Acts of Faith, so they can do Acts of Faith themselves. And Relic of the Matriarchs. At the start of the battle round, select up to 2 abilities in the Relics of the Matriarch section, see left. Till the start of the next battle round, this model has those abilities. So this is much like the Warlord trait that like Abaddon has and Be'lakor, where you get to pick a thing, and that is active. But this one gets to pick 2 per battle round. And then also, if you're damaged with 1 to 5 wounds remaining, you only get to pick 1 instead of 2, because girls are dying off it. You only have enough to do 1 relic. So here are the 6 options you get to pick 2 of, or maybe 1 every command phase. So the Fiery Heart is an aura. All these are actually auras with a 6-inch range. So Fiery Heart is with models within 6 inches of this model unit. If the unit is destroyed, the miracle dice you gain as a result is automatically a 6. That's a big deal. If your sisters are going to start dying around this, you're replacing their death with automatic sixes for everyone else. So the second wave is going to punch way above their weight class. If you got like 3 sixes guaranteed laying around your dice pool, whew, you're going to punch up, my guys. So, Censor of the Sacred Rose. While a friendly Adepta Sororitas unit within 6 of this model, improve the unit's leadership characteristics by 1. So this one's not the best, but when you need it, you need it. So we'll see what happens with that. These leadership ones don't seem the best, but against armies that are causing a lot of battle shock, it might actually be a big deal, especially like the Chaos Knights, which I'll talk about next week. Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice is also an aura. While a friendly Adepta Sororitas unit is within 6 inches of this model, that unit can perform any number of acts of faith per phase instead of only 1. That Melta squad that's got 4 or 5 Meltas in it, and they're staring down the barrel of a big giant knight. Oh, look at that. 3 of my things went through. 6, 6, 6. Boom. That is 18 damage, yo. Deal with it. Or possibly 24. I love it. It's a great rule. I love it. Being able to do as many acts of faith on a single unit feels great when you're limited to 1 usually. Simulacrum of the Argent Shroud. While a friendly Adepta Sororitas unit is within 6 inches of this model, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of rapid-fire weapons equipped by models in that unit. Another great rule. This army has a ton of bolters. A ton of bolters, even 2 damage storm bolters. So get an extra attack when you just need to lay down covering fire and just wipe out hordes of infantry, like say some gaunts that might be coming your way, or maybe some pink horrors or something. This feels great, having all the extra shots. Lay down suppressing fire. All right, my guys. Icon of the Valor's Heart is also an aura. While a friendly Adepta Sororitas unit is within 6 inches of the model, the unit has a 6-up feel no pain. Big deal when you're about to take a lot of fire back. You want to make yourself tough? 6-up feel no pain is a great way to do it, where you're mitigating a lot of wounds and you're going to be saving a decent amount of sisters from a lot of fire. So, a nice bonus to have. Petals of the Bloody Rose is also an aura. While a friendly Adepta Sororitas unit within 6 inches of this model, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have lethal hits ability. 6 to hit, automatically wound. Let's go! Feels great to get all the extra damage because you have like chainswords and swords and other things, especially like some of the units are actually just all chainswords or all power swords. So being able to get lethal hits on this feels great. So let's go to a basic Battle Sister squad now. This is your basic troops. 6-inch move, T3, 3-up save, 1 wound, 7-up leadership, 2 objective controlled. Seems very straight line. You saw a lot of these stats in the Triumph of St. Catherine. Big difference is it's only got 1 wound. There's only 1 sister instead of 9 chicks on a base that make 18 wounds. So, you know. Core abilities. Acts of Faith. You also have a Cherub. Once per battle, after the unit has performed an act of faith, you gain 1 miracle dice. That is a great one where you can just generate a few extra miracle dice. So if you got like 3 Battle Sister squads, that's 3 guaranteed extra miracle dice when you need them. The next one is Defenders of the Faith. At the end of your command phase, for each objective marker you control that has 1 or more units from your army with this ability within range of it, you gain 1 miracle dice. So I heard you like miracle dice. Do you like miracle dice with your miracle dice? How about more miracle dice? So all you got to do is be holding an objective and you get extra miracle dice at the end of your command phase with your troops. Like that feels great. More guaranteed rolls is always good for this army to be able to deal with the randomness of the game and make yourself better than you are. Simulacrum Imperialis. Each time a unit is destroyed by the bearer's unit, you gain 1 miracle dice. So kill some things with them. Get you some miracle dice. Also great. They're going to be a miracle dice generating machine. So the more you can roll, the more better rolls you can get to make more damage happen. It's just math. You're just going to make it happen. Feels great. Also has a 6-up invuln. Now, the weapons on this squad, nothing is too crazy. Bolt pistol, bolt gun, heavy bolter. We've seen all this. Melted gun. We know this one too. Now, I'll go over some of the cool weapons. So at the very top is Artificer Crafted Storm Bolter. Rapid Fire 2. 2 attacks, hitting on 3. Strength 4, AP 0. All seems like a regular Storm Bolter, right? But look at that last stat. 2 damage. You get 2 damage Storm Bolters. And if I remember right, 2 of the sisters get to be equipped with this per squad. And then I think the elites get to take more. I can't remember the exact numbers. But being able to take 2 damage bolters in this squad feels really good. Now we'll talk about the 2 flamers, Ministorum Flamer and Ministorum Heavy Flamer. So the regular Flamer is Ignores Cover and Torrent. D6 attack, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. So it's 1 pip higher strength than normal flamers. Feels great. Ministorum Heavy Flamer is the same thing. North Cover Torrent, but strength 6 -1, 1 damage. Again, that extra pip of strength is a big deal for these girls because they're going to be burning people alive. And then we get to see the Chainsword again. So this wasn't just a guard thing. So they're hitting on 4s in combat. That is a basic thing of sisters. They do hit on 4s in combat, but the combat squads actually hit on 3s. But the Chainsword just gives them like 2 extra attacks essentially, because they have 3 attacks instead of 1 with their close combat weapon and no AP, 1 damage, base strength. So Chainswords are just extra attacks for the sergeant. If it's free, cool, whatever. But I mean, it's not a great weapon to be taking. So next, let's talk about some weapons. Now, the Exorcist is a cool battle tank that has these like missiles on top, and like I think it's the one with the organ, pipe organ on the back. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's the missile organ. That's the one. So let's talk about his 2 weapons. So it's Exorcist Conflagration Rockets, has blast, heavy, ignores cover, and indirect fire. Cool, we get to see what indirect fire does. Not much different from last edition, but let's read it anyway. So the rule is right there underneath it. Weapons with indirect fire in their profile are known as indirect fire weapons. Big shock, am I right? And attacks can be made with them even if the target is not visible to the attacking model. These attacks can destroy enemy models in a target unit even though none of them have been visible to the attacking unit when you select the target. So target things out of line of sight and you can still kill them even though you can't see them. If no models in the target unit are visible to the attacking unit when you select the target, then each time a model in the attacking unit makes an attack against the target using an indirect fire weapon, subtract 1 to the attack's hit roll, and the target benefits from cover. So you do get some penalties for firing out of line of sight, but being able to get shots when you didn't have shots before is a big deal. So let's look at the Conflagration Rockets. It's heavy blast and ignores cover. So extra shots against big squads. Heavy, you get +1 to hit if you don't move, and it ignores cover. So by the way, indirect fire, it gives you cover. That thing just ignores cover. Sorry. You know that cover you just got? I don't care. 36-inch range, 3d6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage. So that's a lot of saves people got to be taking. You know, that's like 10 attacks on the average, hitting 7 times, and against Marines wounding like 5 times. So that's 5 saves they got to take with no cover, and you didn't even have to look at them. So things like cultists and orcs or like guardsmen are just going to crumble to this thing. So, Exorcist Missile Launcher, that's the other one. Heavy and indirect fire. 36-inch range, D6 plus 2 attacks. Hitting on 3s, strength 10, -2, D6 damage. So, all the stats on this seem really good. The number of damage is kind of rough with the D6, but guess what? You have Miracle Dice to negate all that. So, guess what? That's it. D6 is just a guaranteed 4. Oh, that's how many wounds you have left? Oh, I'm so sorry. It looks like you're dead. So, now, next up we have the Lance of Illumination, which is the sword carried by Morgan Vol. So next up we have the Lance of Illumination, which is a sword carried by Morgan Vol. So she has 2 modes of attack with this, a strike and a sweep. So the strike has devastating wounds. So wound rolls of 6 are automatic mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. So she gets 5 attacks hitting on 2, strength 8, -2, 3 damage. Oh, chunking some Terminators in the face. I love it. It's a lot of big 3 damage attacks, and that is exactly what this girl needs. So then the sweep profile is 10 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. So that, you know what? 3 damage ain't doing anything because it's all hordes. Let's just make sure we do a bunch of attacks and make sure we chunk them in the face. This one having -1 is really good against like low armor things like guardsmen and orcs. So I feel really good about this. I like Morgan Vol, and I'm hoping she sees a lot of play in the next edition. Lastly, let's talk about a stratagem. So Rejoice the Fallen. I got to read the flavor text on this one. The death of a battle sister only stirs the survivors to fight harder to exact swift vengeance. They are not happy that their ladies are dead. They will rejoice them in death, but man, they're going to kill anybody who even dare come across them. So, use this in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks, and you target one of your Adepta Sororitas units that had at least 1 model destroyed from that unit. If you do that, you spend 1 CP, and your unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but it must target only that enemy unit when doing so, and can only do so if that enemy unit is an eligible target. So, as long as you can see them, and they're an eligible target, you can shoot the unit that killed one of your sisters. Now, this is kind of funny because if you've lost at least 1, you're at +1 to hit. And if they brought you down below half strength, wow, you're +1 to wound as well. It's a lot of damage coming their way. I like this a lot. They get to freak out and throw some dice at people. It's gonna be so annoying when you kill a couple sisters like as like plink shots and like, you know what, these 3 meltas that I have left are just gonna go ahead and shoot at you. I hope you enjoy that. Enjoy that. So that's going to be it from me today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with a faction focus review for Leagues of Votann. I can't wait to talk about them because they're a faction I've really gotten into in the new edition. And their rules have changed, so it'll be very interesting to talk about how that went down. Thank you guys for coming out. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, making sure that I get this channel going and justify everything I do for this. So thank you, and I'll catch you guys next time.